Chapter 13 The Garments. Just prior to my going on a mission for the Mormon Church, I had gone to the temple for the first time. When you go through the temple on your first visit, you make covenants or contracts with God to be obedient to His will, and I took these covenants very seriously. At the same time you make these commitments to God, you put on a garment or underclothing that is to remind you of the covenant you have made with deity. The church teaches that the garment is to remain with you the rest of your life and represents the clothing Adam and Eve put on when they found themselves naked in the garden after partaking of the forbidden fruit. Sadly, it has also become a way for members to judge others. Regrettably, I did this myself. I found that when I was out of town or in an area where I didn't know anybody, I would look and see if I could tell if any of the people around me were Mormon by seeing if they were wearing garments. To tell you this now seems bizarre and ridiculous, but it was a way of finding someone with familiar thinking. I am certain that I was not alone in this practice, and I am equally as certain I felt myself better than those around me because I had made this commitment to God to wear this underwear, which they had not. There is no place for specialness or segregation with God. It is a mindset that retards the spiritual growth drastically and should be pushed from one's thinking. My experiences with God have never shown class distinctions or better than attitudes. We complicate the situation when we see any of our brothers as different than ourselves. This particular separating maneuver, which the garment provides, is man made, yet there are hundreds of other judgments that are much easier to spot: color, nationality, gender, social status, skinny, fat, ugly, cute, gay, straight, smart, dumb, and even handicapped are all looked beyond and without judgment by those who see as God does. During my disciplinary meeting, the stake president told me that I was to take off the garments and not wear it, and I told him this was something I could not do, for I had made my contract with God and not him. I know this made him feel I was not acknowledging his authority, but I felt deeply about it and absolutely refused to take it off. I felt if I was in error, then let God be the judge and I will answer to him. But no man was now going to step between me and my Creator, for to do so, I knew would be setting my progression back several steps. Some 3 weeks later, I had another dream that went like this. I was walking in the neighborhood where I grew up, traveling on foot up a gently rising street not far from my house. I was alone, and as I walked, I suddenly noticed that my stake president was coming towards me. He was looking at my clothing and trying to see if I was still wearing the garment I was given in the temple, just as I had done to others on hundreds of occasions. He could see that I was wearing it and told me that I was to take off the garment immediately. Again, I refused to take it off and gave him the same answer as before. With this, he grew angry and told me again that I must take the garment off. I again refused, and he withdrew from me a short distance. I could feel his attitude was changing to a non-confrontational approach. He then looked at me and could see that I was white and glowing, and his countenance became one of remorse. He then said, "How do you do that?" And I said, "Just let go. Let go of everything." He said, "I can't. I am caught in this web and I can't get out." I again said, "You can. Just let go." But he turned and walked away. At that point, I heard the voice of my father say, "Take off the garment." I was in total shock. So amazed was I at the request that I asked him to repeat what he had said, and his voice came through again saying, "Take off the garment." I then, in my cautious manner, checked to make sure I was listening to the right voice and doing the right thing. Without further explanation, I slipped out of my undergarment and burned it, as we are told to do with discarded garments. A few days passed before my father talked to me about the purposes for taking off the garment. Our conversation was quite lengthy, and because of the personal nature of what he told me, I will not convey all that he said. I was still trying to get used to the coolness of not wearing the additional clothing when I frankly asked my father why he had me take the garment off. His explanation was as follows. The garment was given in the garden as a symbol to remind the wearer of the covenants they have made with God. When you put it on, you make covenants too. Do you remember the covenants that you made at the time? I acknowledged that I did. He then said, when Adam and Eve did that which went against the directive of God, they left the garden and were given a garment to cover their nakedness, and it represented the commitment or covenant they made to do the will of God in their lives. In the garden, they were clothed in light. Outside of the garden, they were not. In addition to being a reminder of their new commitment to God, the garment was a symbol or representation of light they once had, a reminder, if you will, of where they had been. You are now at the point where you have fulfilled all of the covenants that you made when putting on the garment the first time you went through the temple. From our perspective, we see the light you emanate as being inhibited by the garment. For this reason, we have directed you to take off the garment and let your light shine. Understand that others may progress through this same point in a much different way than you have. Baptism, confirmation, endowment, the garment, and thousands of other tools are simply used to help you progress. They are instruments to teach you how to love without condition. The danger comes when people attach to the tools and lose sight of the end goal. Nevertheless, there are endless numbers of souls here ready to help persuade them in their progression when they are ready to advance. Remember that all of these experiences are for your growth. They are given to you that you may become as I am. I have told you this before, and I shall say it to you many more times. Savor every minute of your earthly existence. See joy in all things and be thankful for all that you are going through. Share with others as you know too. And remember that I experience all that you experience because the Spirit of truth, or my Spirit, is in all things and through all things. Your life is an extension of my life. Becoming tuned to that understanding and reasoning with it continually will allow you to operate in harmony with all that is. This will bring a peace that will surpass all understanding. Learn to be true to that which you know within, and you will see all of your experiences working together for your good. This explanation seemed to satisfy my garment issue, and I really have never looked back after taking them off. Frankly, I am glad that I went through it, but I now realize that it was just another step in my progression to know God, a step that was important for me, but one which many others would never need to go through. Millions of people will learn unconditional love and be as Jesus is without ever having to make the garment commitment. For me, it was helpful, but I learned through it all there is only one thing that is required to be one with God, and that is that you must give up any thinking process that is not like God's. There are really no absolutes with regard to the steps a person should take to enjoy the peace of our Father in heaven, but we each manufacture a bunch of them so that we can feel we are more correct than someone else. The truth is, we are all equal.